Hey, what's up? I am here to talk about the full moon in Scorpio, which happened this morning, May 7th, 2020, at about 4:45 to 5:45 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Um, so the full moon, I generally look at moon cycles as kind of starting on the new moon, and then they, get bigger to the full moon, and then they go to the next new moon, right? So the new moon is where we start a new cycle. We plant seeds, we make a plan, we lay low and figure out what we're going to do next. And then when we figure that out, the full moon is the time to take that action, to reap what you have sown, to harvest the fruit of your labors, or whatever that is. You know what I mean? The full moon is the time to take the action. Try to get this angle so it's not quite in my eyes because but anyways, so a full moon is really a time where it can be a lot of tension, because on the chart, the sun and the moon are at opposite sides. Like the new moon, the sun and the moon are together, and then the full moon, you need that like tension, that opposition of energy to kind of carry out the action, to drive that action forward. So the new moon started, this moon cycle started on April 22nd around 8:30 p.m. at 3 degrees of Taurus. So this moon cycle is all about Taurus stuff of like building, growing, tending to your own garden, dealing with your own boundaries. You know what I mean? Kind of that very earth energy oriented type of cycle. Like Taurus is in the northern hemisphere all about springtime, and your garden's growing, and it's the fruit, it's the Garden of Eden, it's all these different metaphors. So when we have this cycle of growing and coming to fruition and boundaries and all this stuff, and then when we get this Scorpio energy on the full moon, this is that type of energy where it's like, okay, we need to prune the garden. You know what I mean? We need to trim this stuff back so new growth can come in. In order for there to be new growth, we have to cut away some of the old stuff, and that's what this, like the opposite signs of Taurus and Scorpio. It's this idea of Taurus is accumulating, and then Scorpio, we let stuff go, or we release it. Taurus is like eating and comfort and food and things like that, and Scorpio is like releasing stuff out of the body, like our liver is getting rid of toxins, and then we pee that shit out or whatever. um uh so a full moon in Scorpio, this really gives us an opportunity to look at what kind of energy in our life that we need to let go of. What do we need to trim? What do we need to pare back? What do we need to like get rid of so that we can move forward more smoothly? And so the other thing that's associated with Scorpio is this idea of shared energy, right? Like Taurus is very much about what's mine, and then Scorpio is about what's ours. So in order for it to become ours, we have to like let go of something of ourselves. So there's this release, letting go of control, letting go of power. You have to trust, you have to open your hand. You can't, help others with a closed fist. Scorpio is like, we have to let go in order to become one style. So it's this whole idea of when it's the full moon, it's shining a light on this place in our lives, and so wherever this full moon shines in your chart is kind of showing you this energy of like where it's good to let go, or where it's good to come to a new place of regeneration, or a new, shared values, quality of time. So for me, what I'm looking at is like, we've been quarantined for a while. I feel like this energy is strongly looking at like letting go of kind of old habits, letting go of the way things used to be, letting go of like a sense of normal. We need to move forward into a new place. In order to do that, we need to trim back some of these limiting beliefs. Like, oh yeah, we'll be fine, we'll just go out. Like in the US, we're having thousands and thousands of people die every day, and we're just like, yeah, let's continue doing these activities. And it's like let's not, you know what I'm saying? We need to really let go of old expectations, old attitudes, old cycles. And I think that this information is highlighting that really well. So I'll put this in the post, but this moon placement is creating a T-square. So the sun and moon are opposition and creating a T-square off of Mars. So the last couple of days, as the moon moves through this transit, moves through the T-square, it's been building up a pressure, building up an energy. And I've definitely been more aggressive. I've been like, yelling at people on social media and all that type of shit, because there's been this tension. You know what I mean? The T-square is an aspect of tension. So like this moon is creating like crisis is the wrong word. That's more of like an eclipse thing, but like it's creating attention, or it's creating something that brings our attention to this energy that we need to let go of, or this energy that we need to like sever ties with, or this energy that we need to like adjust what our thing is so that we can mesh with others. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we have to let go of some of our limiting beliefs so that we can become one, so we can join forces with those people around us. You know what I mean? Anyways, thematically, that's just kind of like this energy of the Scorpio moon. And also transformation. There's a big transformation that has to take place. I think collectively we're all seeing this, like we're all taking actions. There's been this big stay home. We're seeing like economic fallout. We're seeing all type of shit. But like transformation, this is a time that we're like right now, we're especially today, the 7th, with this full moon energy still in Scorpio all day into tomorrow. This is a time where we're going to be like on a hinge. We're going to look at this maybe particular day. We're going to look at this like part of May. We were in quarantine for so long, and then after that it's turned into this other energy. This energy is Scorpio is transformative. So we're going to look at, this quality of time as a change, a pivot. So people talking about this is a supermoon. A supermoon is when the moon and the earth are at their closest point, or the perigee. And so this is a supermoon. It appears slightly brighter in the sky, slightly closer to earth. And basically those effects are enhanced when it is a supermoon. The emotional energy, that like psychic, intuitive energy is closer to the earth. It's more present. It's more in our minds. So like, Scorpio is a kind of a fairly chaotic energy, and really energized with that full moon, that, light of the sun kind of bouncing off the subconscious like that. Like it could be this very kind of uncomfortable truth, or like pressure, you know what I mean? This chaotic moment that we really address in our lives. It's like, okay, that's got to go. Anyways, I was looking up in my ephemeris kind of this May 7th, and I'm glad I did, because it brought to my attention all the stuff that is going to be happening up into the summer. So I'm just going to talk about that really quick. So this year, next week actually, so Pluto, especially the outer planets, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, all that stuff, those planets can spend up to half the year in retrograde because of our relative orbit, right? Sometimes they're far away, and then we get closer, and then they're closer, and then we get far away. It takes like, half the year to get inside or outside of those relative orbits, right? So this year, we have all of these different retrogrades going on, but we also have Venus retrograde starting next week, and we also have Mars retrograde later in the year. So all the planets are going to do a retrograde this year, and building up into the summer. So next week we have, I'm reading out my little book here. Next week we have Saturn going Pluto already is retrograde from April 25th. Saturn is retrograde on the May 10th. Venus goes retrograde on May 13th. Jupiter goes retrograde on May 14th. Mars goes retrograde on June 17th. Neptune on June 22nd. And then Uranus on August 15th. So then it's all culminating. There's going to be 6 or 7 different planets in retrograde. I hate that I said that. Retrograde leading into September, and then they start coming out of retrograde. So I looked that up, and as far as I could tell, that has not happened, so far in the 20th century. So this shit is crazy. So let go of some shit, get ready for some new shit. That's your full moon in Scorpio. Blammo.